Vekoma has been re-identifying themselves lately with their new coaster models. You may know them as the manufacturer of cloned boomerangs and SLCs, but nowadays they have turned their company around and are creating top-of-the-line attractions. Surprisingly, none of these have been built in North America. In this video, I'm going to discuss potential parks that could bite on their new models of roller coaster. Let's get into it. Vekoma has been picking up speed with multiple new models, including their Bermuda Blitzes and ShockWave coaster types. In this video, I'm going to focus on the ShockWave model. This is the same type of coaster that Abyssus at Energylandia is going to be. If you are unfamiliar with it, this coaster looks like it's going to be one of the best of 2021. In general, the ShockWave model is a less intense Intamin Blitz coaster, or you could say that it's Vekoma's take on the Mach multi-launch. These coasters don't look to be the most intense, but will feature some good pops of airtime, nice twists and turns, and some inversions. And this is all done in a compact mindset and on a budget. I think it's safe to say that a ShockWave will make its way to North America at some point. In deciding my top 5 parks that would receive this coaster, I looked at a multitude of criteria. These include the current coaster lineup, willingness to invest, and space. Sometimes I include marketability when looking at predictions, but this does not apply here as there are none on the continent, although I might reference similar coasters nearby. I also usually include past relationships with manufacturers, but for the most part I did not include this as most parks do not have any beef with Vekoma. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get to the first coaster on the list. Coming in at the most unlikely on the list, I have Canada's Wonderland. I really enjoy this park. It's very spacious and has a really good coaster lineup. A Giga Coaster, Hyper Coaster, and Dive Coaster are among the mix, with some good family attractions too. This park is missing a good multi-launch coaster. Canada's Wonderland does have backlot stunt coaster, but this is more geared towards families. The park needs an intense, low-to-the-ground experience, and the ShockWave would do just that. The coaster could provide an inversion-based coaster, which is not found anywhere else in the park. The coaster would also provide the multiple launches that the park is lacking. It's no secret that Cedar Fair, the parent company of Canada's Wonderland, is willing to invest. Just look at what the park has received from them. 3 B&Ms just shows how much Cedar Fair loves this park. This is practically unheard of for other parks out there. The main problem with this prediction is space. Canada's Wonderland is quickly running out of it. This would either allow for a very unique ride layout that would fit the area, or a ride removal. It has been rumored that Dragon's Fire would be getting removed in the near future. That would open up a prime spot of real estate for this coaster right under Leviathan's lift hill. Additionally, look at how well this coaster could fit the theme of the area. It could easily be themed to the medieval section interacting with medieval style buildings. Or the park might decide to relieve Time Warp and Flight Deck from their duties. This would also open up a huge plot of land for this new coaster. I think both sites could be great candidates for the multi-launch coaster, especially a Vekoma ShockWave. Another problem with this theory is past relationships. Now I just said that I was going to leave this out of the video, but I think it's really applicable here. Cedar Fair does not have a poor relationship with Vekoma. It might just be better for another manufacturer to come in. Cedar Fair previously worked with Mach Rides to create Copperhead Strike at Carowinds in 2019. This is a compact multi-launch coaster similar to a ShockWave. This would just result in a lower probability of the coaster being made by Vekoma, and that's why it gets the last spot on the list. Moving on to the number 4 spot, I have one of the Six Flags parks. I say this as a general prediction because I could not narrow it down to a for sure park. My top picks were Six Flags Fiesta Texas and Six Flags St. Louis. Whoa, did I just say Six Flags St. Louis? Indeed I did. Before I get into that though, I'm going to share my thoughts on why I chose Fiesta Texas. This Six Flags park seems to be the recent testing grounds for the chain. You saw the first RMC Raptor model make its way to this park. Afterward, the model was expanded into other parks within the chain. This trend of innovation got me thinking. Fiesta Texas could be another testing ground, but this time for the Vekoma ShockWave. The park does have Poltergeist, which is a Premier Rides launch coaster. I think the ShockWave would be different enough that it would still be a good fit for the park though. The main problem for this is space. Fiesta Texas is quickly running out of room to expand. The ShockWave makes even more sense now. Their compact layouts would work well for the land in the restricted park. But this also got me thinking about other parks in the chain that could benefit from a coaster like this. That's where Six Flags St. Louis came in. The park has not received a new coaster in 7 years. Not only that, their quote-unquote new coaster was just a relocated boomerang. It has recently been rumored that their next coaster would be built in the near future. From what I've seen, it would be an RMC Raptor. This was before the pandemic, so I don't know if those plans have changed. Six Flags has also recently announced that a bunch of rides would be closing throughout the chain. If one was to be removed at this park, good space could be cleared for a new standout attraction. A ShockWave would give this park the boost it desperately needs. Similar to Fiesta Texas, they have a premier launch coaster too, Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast. And just like Fiesta, a ShockWave would be a different enough addition that it would not matter. Those are my top 2 picks for the Six Flags chain. Again, I had trouble narrowing down the options for this spot. I think I will officially put Six Flags St. Louis in this spot. They just so desperately need something. At the same time, many other Six Flags parks are lacking a launch coaster. For example, over Georgia, New England, and Mexico all need good launch coasters. Out of all the Six Flags parks, which one do you think is the most probable to receive a coaster like this? I would love to hear your thoughts. As I said, St. Louis is my choice, but many other Six Flags parks could get one. Could we see the Vekoma ShockWave become Six Flags' new go-to clone? We will just have to wait and see. Due to my uncertainty for the park, I put this at the number 4 spot on the list. So it could happen over some other parks out there, but I would not be surprised if it went to somewhere else first. Next up in the number 3 spot, I have Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Like another park coming up on the list, Holiday World has been picking up attention. They have some of the best wooden coasters out there. They also have the only launched B&M wing coaster in the world. This shows a couple of things right off the bat. The park is being very innovative, doing something that is not seen anywhere else. It also shows that they are willing to invest by working with one of the most expensive manufacturers out there, B&M. Holiday World also has one steel roller coaster. This opens up so many options for the park, and they have the space to do whatever they please. Now here comes the downside. Since they have such an open market to choose from, another launch coaster might be out of the books. I like the idea of a compact layout with inversions and airtime. I think the park could really use it. It would save them space and deliver a new experience. The Vekoma ShockWave could do that for them. But as I said, they have an open market. The park could invest in a hypercoaster to deliver some nice airtime and give the park another standout attraction that would impact the skyline nicely. With their recent history with B&M, they might opt for their models. Again, a hypercoaster would fit under this category. I could also see a smaller version of a dive coaster, like Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego, making its way here. Holiday World could also look into an inverted coaster. I'm just proving my point. The options are endless for this park. So even though it's a 50-50 shot for the Vekoma ShockWave, I put Holiday World in the middle of the list. They meet pretty much all of the criteria. It makes sense for this park to get this model of roller coaster, more than the last 2 predictions. But it also makes sense for them to get a lot of different coaster models from a lot of different manufacturers. Yet Holiday World has not presented the strongest case today. And that brings me to the runner-up position. And here I have Kennywood. I would not say that this is the smallest of parks, but it is also not the biggest. When you first think of an American amusement park, this is not what you think of. However, the park has been proving a point, making some major changes to the park. Of course, Kennywood opened their largest expansion ever, the Steel Curtain roller coaster in Steelers Country. This is an S&S hypercoaster featuring the most inversions on the continent. It was also an expensive addition at that, costing around $20 million US. Recently, Kennywood also announced that they would be removing 4 rides. I think this helps the case for the park to receive a Vekoma ShockWave. The Steel Curtain has shown that the park will invest. The Vekoma should cost less than this expansion. Steel Curtain also showed Kennywood's innovation. This coaster is one of a kind. It is one of the only S&S hypers out there, and as I said, it is the most inverting coaster in North America. Plus the removal of rides has opened up space in the park. I think the Vekoma ShockWave could be an especially good fit here. On top of this, Kennywood does not have a multi-launch coaster. This would provide a completely new experience to the park. You could argue that Kennywood is close to Cedar Point, which would hinder the reception for the ShockWave. Why wouldn't people just go out and ride one of the most elite multi-launch coasters out there, Maverick? While this may be true, for the most part, the new coaster would continue bringing in local residents. It would also upgrade Kennywood's coaster lineup, making it a travel destination. But I can't say all this without one downside. As I said, Steel Curtain was made by S&S. Another coaster model they offer is an air launch coaster. This is the same type as Max Force at Six Flags Great America. Since they recently worked with the company and had a huge success with their new addition, maybe Kennywood looks back to them. Then again, space might play a pivotal role here. Air launch coasters tend to take up a good chunk of land that a compact multi-launch coaster would not. Another model by S&S is a 4D free spin. Even though some coaster enthusiasts dislike the idea of this model seemingly going to every park out there, it could fit at Kennywood. They are cheap and they are compact. But I still see the ShockWave as a better choice for the park. Kennywood pretty much hits all the criteria with little problems, and that's why I put it at the number 2 spot on the list. And finally, my pick for the best candidate to receive a Vekoma ShockWave in North America is Lagoon. This is a park located in Utah and has been steadily building up to be a bucket list park. Lagoon is home to some world-class rides like Cannibal. They also have a cool coaster under construction with the name Primordial. This was my top underrated coaster that would be opening in this year. although it looks like it will get delayed at least another year now. So why is Lagoon my top pick for a Vekoma ShockWave? There are a couple of reasons why. First off, this park, like some others on the list, lacks a launch coaster. Yeah, they have Wicked, which features a vertical launch for a lift, but I'm talking about multiple launches that send you in a twisting mess of airtime and inversions. Wicked does not feature this type of layout. It is only a launch into a couple of inversions, then meanders around for a little bit. The ShockWave would provide multiple launches with good force, good airtime, snappy turns, and good inversions. Lagoon does not have this, which is why I think this is a great candidate. But that's not all. Second, Lagoon has shown its ability to invest. Cannibal opened in 2017 and cost around $22 million US. Abyssus at Energylandia, the newest ShockWave coaster, cost around $11 million US. That's half the cost. I think this cost will be doable for the park. Especially on the heels of such a big investment with Primordial, they're going to want to spend a little less money on their next investment. If Lagoon was to get a Vekoma ShockWave model, the park would scream to roller coaster enthusiasts around the country, putting this developing park on the map for good. But that's not all. Third, Lagoon has more than enough land. Looking at Google Maps, it looks like the park has enough space to double in size. This only helps the case for a ShockWave. These coasters are generally able to fit into small areas. This means the park can save all that extra space that can be used for the future as the park grows. Eventually, I see this park needing a good hypercoaster filled with floater airtime and some other standard park models like an invert and a wooden coaster. These models tend to be a lot more space consuming. Putting in compact rides now would allow the space to be used wisely in the future. And for all those reasons, that's why Lagoon is the top candidate on this list. For the most part, the parks on the list are not from big corporations. I intentionally predicted it this way. From the big chains like Cedar Fair and Six Flags, I think they try it out at one of their parks, but I think the smaller parks are going to get usage out of this coaster type. The ShockWaves are inexpensive and can be compact. Two big factors parks look for in their next installations. And since these smaller parks don't have the biggest and baddest rides on the planet, a ride experience delivered by a ShockWave would give them a standout attraction. This concept can be seen with the RMC Raptors. It started at two big parks, Six Flags Fiesta Texas and California's Great America, both Six Flags and a Cedar Fair park. Since then, not one major park has invested into one, excepting the custom layout opening at Six Flags Great Adventure. The RMC Raptors have made their way into smaller parks though, including Silverwood, Wildwater West, and it looks like Kentucky Kingdom might be getting one as well. 3 smaller theme parks. So those are my 5 candidates for North America's first Vekoma ShockWave roller coasters. What park do you think is most likely to get one? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.